Hi, and welcome back to Bounce Forward with me, Tiff. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which I'm recording this podcast, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I pay my respects to elders, past and present. Natasha contacted me with a great question. Hi, Tiff. Would love a question answered for your podcast, please. Do steps really matter? If I eat well, work out most days, 20 minutes, but only do 5,000 steps a day, does it mean I won't make any progress? So, counting steps can be really helpful and a meaningful way to stay active, but how much it matters depends on really your personal health and your fitness goals. So, there are a few really strong benefits to counting your steps. So you've got increased awareness of your overall activity levels. So you're tracking your steps. It's making you more mindful of how active or inactive you are throughout the day. And it's easy to underestimate your activity. Some days you get home and you're like, oh, I've done so much today. And you look at your steps and it's like, oh, 4,000. And so it really does give you measurable data to help you understand your daily movement, because sometimes we underestimate it big time. Then, steps are really great to encourage you to do more movement, because if you see your step count is lacking, it really motivates you to walk more and maybe take the stairs instead of the escalator. And if you're close to your goal, you might want to do a couple of laps, a couple of stairs, and try and meet that target. And then I think the other benefit is that it really promotes general health. Walking is the easiest and the most accessible form of exercise. So it's great for everyone, all levels of fitness, all ability levels. And counting steps is a great way to motivate you, and you have your goal and you get that cardiovascular health, that better mood, the endorphins, and it also improves your weight maintenance if that's where you're at. And I'm a big fan of structure and goals. So if you say, often people say 10,000 steps, great. If that's your benchmark, then go for it. And you want to get those steps in every day. That's fantastic. And it can be a real gateway to other fitness goals. So once you hit that 10,000 steps goal, you might want to increase it to 12,000 steps but there are some things to consider. Step counting isn't everything, because I'm a very active person, work out a lot, do exercise for a job, and yet still some days I only get like 7,000 steps in, and I do kick myself about that and think, wow, where did I go wrong? I've been so active all day. But whilst it's a great way to stay active, it's not the only metric. So you've got strength training, right? You've got your flexibility work. You've got other forms of exercise that are really important for your overall health. And, it's not all about your steps. It's about recompositioning your body so that you get more of that lean muscle mass, which is the fountain of youth. And that steps don't measure that strength training at all. And that's really, really important. The other factor is that 10,000 steps can feel really overwhelming. It does to me. I can't usually honestly hit 10,000 steps unless I go for like a 5K run and then keep my watch going. And then I get to 10,000 steps, but I've also done a 5K run, right? So I find, being at home, working from home, running a business, running after a toddler, I just don't get to 10,000 a day. It's a really big goal. So it can be demoralizing. So you do need to be really aware of where you're setting your step goals and what other activities you're doing. And then I'd always say quality over quantity. So the intensity of your steps matter too. You can't just waddle around, right? A brisk walk has more cardiovascular benefits than a slow, casual waddle. So balance step counting with other forms of more intense movement. It's very important. When I was on The Biggest Loser, I got my contestants to walk all the time because they were bigger. It was really safe for them, really good for their joints, and they walked off a lot of weight. And it really was a very, very, very effective way to lose kilos and shift some weight. So if you are wanting to lose some weight, but you have injuries or you are a little bit bigger and you're just getting into exercise for the first time, walking is the best place to start. And getting a step count like your Apple Watch or whatever device you're using to count your steps is fantastic. Have that goal and make sure you add in some inclines, some stairs, some intensity into the movement as well, and you will get a great result. So yeah, in short, steps can be a useful tool, but you've got to manage them with maintaining some intensity in your activity levels and making sure that you have a well-rounded fitness approach. Mary DM'd me with a great question. Hey, Tiff, I'm hoping you can help me learn a little bit. I hear these words related to fitness, but what do they actually mean? Can you help me unpack some more fitness jargon? So the words that Mary was struggling with were dynamic, static, unilateral versus bilateral movements, and neutral positions or neutral spine. Really great fitness terms, which are thrown around a lot and are not really understood, I think. So let's start with dynamic. Dynamic. In fitness, dynamic it references more movements that involve motion and engage multiple muscle groups and joints, and dynamic exercises are often used to improve your strength, your flexibility, coordination. Examples like lunges, jumping jacks, star jumps, whatever you might call them, or any exercise where the body is actively moving. And I love dynamic movements for warm-ups, for example. So dynamic stretches like swinging your legs or arm circles, they're often used in warm-up because it increases blood flow and your mobility. So dynamic's really important for getting the body ready to work out, and they're great to call upon these exercises and movements in warm-ups. Then you have static. So static refers to exercises or stretches where there is no movement and you're in like a fixed position. And static movements are used to build endurance, strength, and flexibility by holding a position for a certain amount of time. And a lot of people you see at the gym, and they don't know any better, but they're getting ready to work out and they're holding a static stretch, like a hamstring stretch for 30 seconds. Or, and it's not the most effective way to get your body ready for a workout. It can actually lead to injury. You're not right. You haven't got the circulation. The muscles aren't warm. So holding a stretch for 30 seconds can be a little bit bad, but it's great after you do the workout. Static stretching is fantastic to cool down. But another static movement might be like holding a plank because you're in that set position. So yeah, you always want to go dynamic for warm-ups and static for cool downs. Then there's unilateral versus bilateral movement. So unilateral refers to exercises that work one side of the body at a time. This can help improve your balance, correct muscle imbalances if there are any, and increases your core stability. So think of single leg squats, lunges, or a one-arm dumbbell row. Bilateral, on the other hand, refers to exercises that work both sides of the body simultaneously, and these exercises typically allow for greater strength development since both limbs are working together. So think about your squats, both legs, or bench press using both arms. Quite powerful movements. So there's a real difference there, one side of the body versus both. Then you'll hear neutral spine or a neutral position a lot in things like Pilates and yoga even. And the neutral spine position is the natural curvature of the spine where the three curves, your cervical, thoracic, and lumbar, are in alignment. And this position is essential for really safe and effective movements in exercises. And it minimizes stress on the spine and helps maintain really beautiful, good posture. So examples, exercises like deadlifts or squats, maintaining a neutral spine means keeping your back straight, shoulders back, pelvis in a neutral position to avoid rounding or overextending the spine. It's really important. So neutral spine is very important to understand. Now, these terms can help you perform exercises much more effectively. Mary, the takeaway today that I want you to have is dynamic for warm-up and static for cool down. Really important there because I'm positive you'll go to the gym and you'll see someone holding a stretch before they start their workout and you'll be like, Tiff said not to do that. You meant to do some leg swings or some mobility, really warm up the body, get the circulation moving and warm up before you do your workout, not, hold that position. So it's a number one mistake I see in gyms a lot. And I hope that helps, Mary. Thanks so much for listening to Bounce Forward. I love having your company, so please DM me on Instagram at tiffhall_xo and let me know what questions you'd love me to cover. Don't forget to rate and review me on your podcast app. Speak soon. Happy days.